Hey kids, welcome to this week's Children's Ministry Online. Let's get into our worship, story, and craft for this week.
My soul finds rest in God alone. My soul finds rest in God alone. My soul finds rest in God alone. My salvation comes from Him, and He alone is my rock and my salvation. He is my fortress, I will never be shaken. He alone is my rock and my salvation. He is my fortress, I will never be shaken, never be shaken. My soul finds rest in God alone. My soul finds rest in God alone. My soul finds rest in God alone. My salvation comes from Him. He alone is my rock and my salvation. He is my fortress, I will never be shaken. He alone is my rock and my salvation. He is my fortress, I will never be shaken, never be shaken. Never be shaken. My soul finds rest in God alone. My salvation comes from Him. My soul finds rest in God alone. My salvation comes from Him. My soul finds rest in God alone. My salvation comes from Him. My soul finds rest in God alone. My salvation comes from Him. He alone is my rock and my salvation. He is my fortress, I will never be shaken. He alone is my rock and my salvation. He is my fortress, I will never be shaken, never be shaken. Never be shaken. Never be shaken. Never be shaken.
Okay, let's get into our story for this week. So we will be reading from the Jesus Storybook Bible, and our story today is called Washed with Tears. This is the story about a sinful woman who anoints Jesus. This is from Mark 14, Luke 7, and John 12. If you're following along with me in the Jesus Storybook Bible, you can go to page 280. One night, Jesus went to dinner at an important leader's house. The important leader invited his important friends. They were all just sitting down to eat when a woman walked in. She was not invited, but everyone knew who she was. "Who does she think she is?" the guests whispered. "How dare she?" The woman was a big sinner, and everyone knew it. It was easy to see. After all, she had broken the rules and done bad things. The woman walked straight up to Jesus. She was carrying very expensive perfume. Now, the thing about perfume back then was that it didn't come in bottles, but it came in jars. And the jars were made out of precious stone, like alabaster. But here's the catch. The jars didn't have a lid or a stopper or anything really, so the only way that you got perfume out was if you broke the jar. Once you broke the jar, that was it. You had no more. Most people didn't use perfume because it was too precious. They just kept it on a shelf and looked at it like a decoration. So you see, this perfume was her most precious thing in all the world. It was her treasure. The woman knelt down before Jesus like he was a king. She held Jesus' feet in her hands and she started to cry. Her tears fell onto Jesus' feet, washing them. She kissed his feet and dried them with her long, dark hair. And then she did something strange. She broke the jar and poured the perfume all over his feet. Everyone gasped. "What a waste! Over someone's feet with such expensive perfume?" It smelled like lilies in a summer field. Jesus looked at the woman and he smiled at her. What she had done was the most wonderful thing. Just as Samuel had anointed David, God's true king, all those years before, so this woman had anointed Jesus, not with oil though, but with her tears. The most important people were cross. They thought Jesus should not be kind to this woman. "That woman is a sinner," they grumbled. "We're the good ones." And it's kind of true. They did look good from the outside. After all, they were keeping all the rules. But Jesus could see inside of people, and he could see inside of their hearts. He saw that they did not love God or other people. They were running away from God, and they thought that they didn't need a rescuer. They thought they were good enough because they kept the rules. But sin had stopped their hearts from working properly, and their hearts were hard and cold. "This woman knows that she's a sinner," Jesus told them. "She knows that she'll never be good enough, and she knows that she needs me to rescue her. That's why she loves me so much. You look down on this woman because you don't look up to God. She is sinful on the outside, but you are sinful on the inside." The important people shook with anger. Jesus turned to the woman and smiled. "Your sins are forgiven," he said. "You trusted me, and God has rescued you." "Who does Jesus think he is?" the important people whispered. "Only God can forgive sins." They didn't believe Jesus was God's son. The more Jesus loved people and helped them, the more the important people and leaders ended up hating him. They were afraid people would follow Jesus instead of them. They were jealous and angry. Actually, angry enough to kill Jesus. Well, that is the end of that story, but we know that later on, the anger that they end up taking to kill Jesus was on the cross. But we know that God is bigger than that, and he rose Jesus 3 days later, and Jesus died for our sins and everything that we may do in this lifetime that is not of God. But it is so good to know that we just need to love God on the inside and just know that and show that on the outside. And as long as God sees our heart and who we are, then he will love us and always rescue us. So let's get into our craft for this week where we can help us remember that. Okay, let's get into our craft for today. So let's start with the supplies that we are going to need. I have 2 pieces of paper, a white and a background colored paper. We're going to be drawing some feet on this background colored paper. So choose a color that you think will go good for that. And we are also going to be writing on it, so make sure it's not too dark. Next, you'll need your glue, stick, liquid glue, or tape. I have my scissors. And then I have gotten some different colored tissue paper that I found. And you can probably ask your parents if they have some tissue paper that they use for wrapping presents or from their shoebox or something that maybe it's just white tissue paper, but you can color it a different color. We are going to be just cutting these up into little pieces, so you don't need a whole lot, just probably a few little strands. And then I have my coloring stuff. So if you want to grab all of those supplies, I'll meet you back here. Okay, so to start out with, we're gonna get our background piece of paper and we are going to make those feet that I was talking about. So grab a color, I'll just get brown, and you're going to make 2 feet on this. So about the size of your hands, you'll just make them that big and I'll show you how they can look. All right, so I finished with the feet on the background paper, so I'll move that up and I'll get my white piece of paper and we're going to be making a perfume bottle on this piece of paper. Now we're just gonna make the outline because we're gonna make the outside that was made of like gems, which is how the story described it. We'll be making that out of the colored tissue paper that we have. So grab a color and just make whatever you think a perfume bottle looks like. I know they're all kind of different shapes and sizes, so whatever you think is best. I'm gonna make mine a little bit bigger and it might have like a long stem. So you can see how I do mine, but you're welcome to make yours whatever shape and size that you would like. Okay, so you can see that I made the top part of the perfume bottle. I made it look like it was closed because they mentioned in the story that they didn't have stoppers or caps to put on top of it. It was just sealed, and once you broke it, it was open and you couldn't close it or put it back. So I wanted to be able to show that in this perfume bottle. So now that I've made that shape, I'm going to take the tissue paper that I have, and remember, if you have just white tissue paper, you can take some markers or paint or anything like that, and you can color the tissue paper any different colors that you want. So I just got 3 different colors. I got some yellow, some orange, and some red. Now I don't need as much as I grabbed, so we are just going to take a little bit. Probably you can measure out the size of 2 of your hands. That's how much we'll need of each section. So just grab a little section of each color, or color yourself some different colors for the tissue paper. If you need to pause the video to do that, you can. And once I have all this, perfect. Now I'm just going to cut them up into different sizes or different shapes. You can use your scissors or you can just rip them. I'll probably just rip them. It might be a little bit easier to get little funky different designs and weird shapes. So they can probably be about this small. So it's just a little bit bigger than my thumb. If you want to make them a little bit bigger, you can also do that as well. So just cut up your pieces of tissue paper and I will meet you back here. All right, I probably don't need as much as I cut, but that's okay. I'll have some extra. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my glue stick or your glue and you're just going to glue. That way we can just start sticking the little tissue papers on here, kind of just wherever we want to put them. So now that I've glued the whole shape, I'm just going to start taking the different colors of the tissue paper and I'm going to put them on here. Just kind of all spread out, different colors. They can be touching, they can be overlapping, kind of like that. However you want to do it. All right, once I have my perfume bottle looking how I want, we are going to cut it out. So you can take your scissors and just cut out your perfume bottle. Okay, so I cut out my perfume bottle. Now I might want to try and write perfume on it. It might be a little bit hard with the tissue paper, but I'll just try and do my best. We're just gonna write perfume. That way we remember what this is. And then we're going to glue it right on here. We'll glue or tape it, whichever one. I'll just go ahead and mine's gonna be kind of coming off to the side a little bit. That way it looks like it's pouring onto his feet. So just glue a little part of the end of it and then you can glue it onto your background piece of paper with your feet. All right, once it's glued, now we can write a quote or just a saying up here that helps us remember what this craft is about. Because we don't want to look at this and see a feet in a perfume bottle. We want to know what exactly it means. So I will grab maybe just the color green and I'm gonna write, we can write like, I can show my love for Jesus with this perfume bottle. Just something like that. And then we can write the verses that the book or that the story was about on our craft. So I will write that up here and then we'll write the verses down here. All right, this is going to be our craft today. Us showing our love for Jesus through washing his feet with perfume, a perfume bottle. And this is from the stories Mark 14, Luke 7, and John 12. And it's a great reminder just to show us that we are always going to be with Jesus, and we can show him the love that we have in our heart just by giving him these things and washing his feet with the most valuable thing in the time that the story was written. So thanks for doing this craft with me. It was super fun, and I look forward to doing it next week. We'll see you then. Thanks for watching this week's Children's Ministry Online. I loved that you were all able to join us this week, and I hope that you will be able to join us for our Children's Ministry next week with some worship, story, and a craft. So we'll see you then. We hope you have a great week.